It'll say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right. First and foremost, we would like to take this opportunity once again to thank each and every one of you individually and all of you together collectively for the opportunity to interact with you in this way on this day. Each and every time you co-create such an interaction with our civilization, it allows us an opportunity to work together to form a link and a bridge between our respective civilizations, and also in forming that link, in forming that bridge, to create a new third vibration that is representative of a new third reality, a new reality in which we can, as civilizations, interact in new ways. And we thank you for the opportunity also of experiencing through each and every one of you the great gift of the unique point of view, the unique facet of the multidimensional crystal of creation that each and every one of you are. This to us also expands our understanding of all the different ways that creation has of manifesting itself, of expressing itself, of experiencing itself, and thus broadens our understanding of creation as well. So we thank you in exchange for that gift. We would like to begin this transmission with the idea that we have called simultaneity of existence. We have for some time spoken of the idea that all things are now, and many of you have heard this concept now for quite some time in your civilization, that the past and the future in essence are illusions, that everything really exists, coexists simultaneously right here, right now, in a sense, as you say in your language, all at the same time. That there is only now, there is only one moment in existence, and everything that happens, happens in that one moment. But by creating for yourself the illusion of a linear space-time experience, it seems as if the idea of time and moments are laid out before, middle, after, and so on and so forth. But this is, as we say, an illusion. The idea being that there is only now, and any time you wonder what time it is, you know it is only and always now. It is never then, it is never will be. It is always only now. And this is not just a play on words. There really is no past. There really is no future per se in the way that you tend to think of it in your society. What you call past experience, what you call future experience are simultaneously coexisting experiences on a different frequency domain. They all exist right now alongside you on what you would call parallel tracks. All existing now in much the same way as we have said before, as all the programs on one of your televisions all exist at any given moment. You could watch any channel at any given moment and see any program at any given moment, but you only get the one that you're tuned to in the frequency of at that moment. But if you wish to see another program, all you have to do is change your channel and you can see another program, another frequency. It exists at the same time as the one you were watching before. And you know that when you are no longer watching that channel, it doesn't mean that the program is not there anymore. It is still there, but you no longer perceive it because you have shifted your frequency. This is how you actually experience change in your reality. The whole concept of change itself is actually the act of shifting to multiple simultaneously coexisting parallel realities again and again and again and again, literally billions of times per second. Literally. Because any one given parallel reality is just a frozen snapshot, just a frozen moment, just a concept. And the idea even of your arm moving from here to here involves the shifting from this parallel reality to this parallel reality through all of the subsequent parallel realities in between. Billions of times a second. The idea, therefore, is for you to understand that when you are shifting, when you experience yourself to be moving in any way, changing in any way, shifting in any way, shape, or form, this actually involves you being powerful enough to automatically shift your vibration through any number of a billion parallel realities. And you're doing this so automatically you don't even know you're doing it. That's how innate of a creator you are. That's how easy it is for you to shift. The reason that we point this out is because we have conversations with many of you talking about the idea of wanting to change your experience of reality, of wanting to make a shift, of wanting to shift your frequency. And many of you, because of the way you have been brought up to think in your society, think that learning how to shift is very difficult. That it's a very difficult process, requiring years and years and years of training. But you already do it. It's automatic. It is something you do naturally, so naturally you don't even know you're doing it. So the issue is not that you have to learn to shift. The issue is that you have to become aware of the fact that you're already shifting so that you can shift to the parallel reality you prefer. That's the key. That's the big difference. And that is why we talk about the idea now of the simultaneity of existence, to help you make it that much easier to know that whatever reality you wish to experience, it is not an issue of having to learn the mechanism of how to create that reality. That is built in. You are an automatic creator. You don't have to learn anything at all to create a shift in your reality, because as I said, you're doing it billions of times a second anyway. The only reason you really don't know you're doing it is because when you choose to shift to another reality, another reality, another reality, another reality, to create your illusion of the continuity of movement, you shift to realities that are so similar to the last reality, you don't really know that you've actually shifted to an entirely different universe, an entirely different reality. So the key is that when you create a greater degree of difference between one reality and another in terms of where you shift to, then you will start to notice that you are shifting immediately and automatically and instantaneously every single moment. So the idea thus then is to learn how to describe, learn how to define the reality you prefer, and learn how to be in the state of the frequency of that reality of your preference, so that you can know that more and more as you're going along, shifting and shifting and shifting automatically and effortlessly, you can thus begin to imbue your frequency as you shift with more and more and more of the frequency representative of the reality that you prefer to shift to, so you can make bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger leaps and have less and less and less continuity, less and less and less similarity between the next reality and the one that you experienced a moment ago. Thus then revealing to yourself by the greater difference between them that you are automatically and immediately shifting all the time, but you have glossed it over with an illusion that you're not by saying that all you're doing every moment is just making a tiny little change in the same reality, which in fact you are not. So, the idea also to absorb in this, in the simultaneity of existence, is that the idea also not only of your own past in your own life and your own future in your own life, but everything you call past lives and everything you call future lives incarnationally are also coexistent with you right now. The idea being that whoever those people are, they are connected to you as you exist now. You, the you are now, literally was never those people. Those people literally never become you as people. You may have the same oversoul connection, and we will get to that later in what you call this evening's transmission. But the idea is that every single discrete incarnation is its own person and exists side by side with you in your incarnation on a parallel time track right now. So the idea of connecting to past lives, of connecting to future lives, is really only the idea of cross-connecting to another coexisting incarnation that exists right now at the same time you do, and making that connection for your own purposes, for your own reasons. For some reason, you make connections in any given life to other experiences that other aspects of your soul are having at the same time that you call other lives in other time frames, so that you can draw upon the experiences that those lives are having. But the experiences in those lives did not cause the experience you are having in this life. The experience you are having in this life will not cause an experience in what you call a future life. The cross connections all exist in the present. And you make those connections because you believe that in order for you to experience this life You need to draw upon some of the experiences of those other lives to give you the inspirations and the ideas and the insights and the perspectives that will aid and assist you for whatever theme you may be exploring as this person, even as, at the same time, all the other lives are cross-connecting to you and drawing from your experience to give them the insights and inspirations and perspectives that they may need to draw upon for the experience and theme they have decided will be explored in those lives as well. So you have created a cross-connecting web, an interlaced web of lives, very much like what you are seeing in the holotope diagram, that interlacing. All those connections all exist right now. All those strings, all those lines crossing, all those points where they cross are different lives all coexisting at the same time and all connected to the same oversoul at the center that you are connected to. The greater self in that sense. Now look at it even on another level of dimensionality. Not only do you have your own life now and all of your so-called past lives, concurrent parallel lives, we'll get to that in a second, and future lives, not only do they all exist at the same time, but each and every one of those lives also have multiple versions and variations in an infinite number of parallel realities up and down the timeline, so to speak. So not only do you have what you would consider to be a linear past life, a linear future life in your linear time frame sense, but you yourself in this life also have a parallel version in another reality, another parallel earth, doing something perhaps similar but just a little bit different. And then another, doing something perhaps similar but a little more different. And another, doing something perhaps not so similar anymore and even more different. And another, and another, and another, until you have variations of yourself doing things that you are not doing here at all. And that goes on infinitely as well. So you are infinitely spread across the web, the matrix of what you call your own plane of time, past, present, and future. But all the pasts and the presents and the future lives that all coexist simultaneously also each have an infinite number of parallel lives up and down, experiencing variations of whatever those lives are. Does this make sense in your language? Are you getting the picture? Yes. What we are doing by explaining this to you is attempting to get you to fully absorb and wrap your mental abilities around exactly how multidimensional you actually are as a being. You are really that big. You are really that multidimensional. And the idea is that we are happy to reflect that to you like a mirror. So that in, perhaps, your ability to wrap your mind around this concept and make it your own, you will thus then be capable of seeing in that reflection the true nature of your beingness, the true nature of your creatorhood, the true nature of your existence, and in seeing that, have more facility, more facilitation, more ability, more ecstatic excitement in creating the reality you prefer yourself to experience, because now you can see who and what you are more clearly. You can, in a sense, deconstruct the illusion to the point where you can really see how you're pulling the strings, and thus then can pull the strings you prefer, so to speak, to create the experience you truly prefer to be, to allow the unique individual you have chosen to be here and now to express itself in the fullest way possible that he or she can, so that you can thus then be the fullest expression of that facet of the multidimensional crystal of creation that you were created to be. And thus in doing so, experience your life in an ecstatic and creative and effortless, expanding way. Well, if you want to. Of course, you don't have to. We are not here to tell you what to do or to force you to do anything or tell you must choose this or must choose that. We are simply telling you what is probable based on the nature of your actual existence, your very nature. But you can also decide, because you have that nature, to not know that. You can decide to choose the idea of more limitation rather than less. You can decide to choose the idea of experiencing darkness rather than light. It's completely up to you because all choices are valid, and we would never take that away from you. What we are simply saying is we're giving you an opportunity to understand what more of the choices are so that you can have a level playing field, that you can, in a sense, validate all the choices. And by validating all the choices, both negative and positive, dark and light, you can then give yourself more capability to choose what you prefer without invalidating what you don't. Because please remember, whatever it is you don't prefer more clearly delineates what you do prefer. Thus then, the darkness defines the light, even as the light defines the darkness. Without either, you would be nothing but a gray fog and never know who you were. So the idea is, allow yourself to take advantage of the fact that even though sometimes you may choose things that you don't prefer, it more clearly and sharply defines from that point forward what you do prefer. So thank the darkness, thank the negativity for showing you who you are in a positive way, and thus you will be using that energy in a positive and constructive way, and it will thus then expand you rather than contract and limit you. Does that make sense? All right. So, the idea, very briefly, is that as you thus then see more and more of this reflection, as you thus then wrap your mind more around this idea of your simultaneity, that you are this web of consciousnesses simultaneously existing, simultaneously having a multitude of infinite experiences all up and down, all sorts of dimensional timelines all at once, and at the same time are also in each life focused as a unique experience and a unique individual, precious for its uniqueness. As you wrap your mind around that, and as you really take it to heart, and really make it your own, and really let it sink into your fibers and your cells and your atomic structure, so it becomes first nature to you to think this way about yourself and your reality. Once you begin to do that, what you will begin to see is your physical linear space-time reality will begin to come a little bit unglued. You may experience more malleability in space-time, more flexibility, the capability to do things that heretofore you didn't think you had time to do, but you got it done anyway. The ability to arrive at places you didn't have time to get, but you arrived there anyway. Things like that will become commonplace, and synchronicity will expand and multiply and amplify in your life 10, 100, 1,000-fold, the more you allow yourself to really see the simultaneity of your existence to the level and to the degree that it serves you to remain as the unique individual that you are, then your life will expand accordingly, and your life will reflect those things to you accordingly that you need to know and need to experience, and bring to you the doorways, windows, and opportunities and circumstances, situations, people, places, and things at the right place and the right time that you need to have in your life so that you may continue to experience yourself in an ever-expanding, ever-ecstatic way. This is how it works. This is just physics. That's all we're talking about. Metaphysics is just physics without the math. That's all it is. It's just wrapping your mind around the idea that what you are is vibrating consciousness, vibrating energy. You are resonance. You are a frequency. You are a pitch of energy. That is your unique signature vibration. And whatever it is at any given moment you define that to be will be the experience that you allow yourself to have as well as a reflection back to you. Because remember, physical reality doesn't exist outside of you. It exists inside of you. It is just an illusion. It is just a reflection. Again, in the same way as we often use by analogy, as a physical glass mirror. When you see your reflection in the mirror, you know that's not really you over there in the mirror. You know you're here. You know that's a reflection. If you see the reflection frowning, you don't walk over to the mirror and try to force the reflection to smile. When you want to see the reflection smile, you know what you have to do. You have to smile first. But if you wait for the reflection to smile first, you'll be frowning for the rest of your life. But that's what many people on your planet do. I'll be happy when I see my reality change. Well, that's what you're saying. I'll be happy when my reflection is happy. But the reflection can never be happy until you are. So when you're happy first, the reflection has no choice but to reflect it to you. But again, remember, you have created a time-space reality, so sometimes there's a little bit of a time lag between the idea of the change you make within you and the ability of the outer reality to reflect it to you. And sometimes specifically because of the belief systems that you have bought into throughout your lives, you will often even test yourself to see whether or not you really believe you have changed. Therefore, that's why we always stress the idea that when you know you have changed, you do not make the change conditional on whether the outer reality changes or not. The idea of knowing you have truly changed is if you respond differently to the outer reality, even if it doesn't change. That's how you know you've changed. Whereas if you say, yes, I've changed, but I'm not seeing it in my outer reality, then all you're still doing is looking for it in the outer reality first, and all that means is you haven't changed, so why should the outer reality reflect the change to you? You see? You know where this goes. All right. So then, the idea is, as we have said, when you get a grip, as you say, a grasp, as you say, on the simultaneity, on the vastness, on the true power and multidimensionality of your existence, then you can allow yourself to relax the idea of any kind of insistence, any kind of condition that is negatively oriented that you may put on yourselves, and simply choose to be who you prefer to be for no other reason. You do not need a reason to be happy. If you want to be happy, be happy. You do not need an exterior conditional reason to be happy. This is why we say circumstances don't matter. Only your state of being does. Because the idea is that it is your state of being that determines what kind of an effect you get out of the circumstances, because the circumstances have no built-in meaning. They do not come with any particular agenda. A circumstance is neutral. It's just a set of props that mean nothing. The meaning you give to it determines the effect you get from it. So the meaning you put into it will determine the idea of whether or not you experience your life in an expanded or a limited way. Once you understand that you are an expanded being and begin to behave like you are, even while you are focused as an individual, you will see the difference reflected in your reality just by knowing that's who you are. Just by knowing that's what you are, it will ultimately start being reflected to you in your reflected reality. Because that reality doesn't really exist out there. It's all here, right now, with everything that exists in creation. What you call in your linear space-time framework, what you call different moments are just the same moment from a different point of view. That's all it is. It's all you're seeing. There is only one moment in creation. Now. Everything exists now, and what you call different moments are exactly the same moment from a different point of view. And that's how vast you are. That's how powerful you are. That billions of times a second, you are literally creating billions of different points of view of the same now creation moment. And that is what you experience as reality. You are that powerful. Live as if you know that in a humble way, and you will see vast miracles become the order of the day. Does that make sense? All right.